Hi everyone, my name is Fab and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about a book by Paul Tremblay. It's The Cabin at the End of the World. This book is considered an horror novel, but in my opinion it's more a thriller. And he talks about a rainbow family. We have Andrew, Eric, that are a gay couple, and their daughter Wen, that is a Chinese adopted daughter. What basically happens in this book is that they're going into this cabin to have like a vacation, to relax and to disconnect from everyday life. So they're like actually disconnected by the rest of the world because their mobile phone don't work, and this cabin is isolated miles away from other neighbors. And one day when is catching grasshoppers while she's outside the cabin, and the man shows up. This man is called Leonard, and he starts talking with her, and she knows that she's not supposed to talk to strangers, but Leonard seems like a nice guy, so in a way she starts trusting him until other three people shows up and they are carrying some handmade weapons. She gets scared, and before she runs back inside the cabin to inform her dad, Leonard tell her that she has to ask them to let them in because they have an important task and they have to save the world. So this is basically the beginning of this story. This is the third attempt with Paul Tremblay because I already read by him the Head Full of Ghosts and Disappearance at Devil's Rock. The best of these three books, in my opinion, is A Head Full of Ghosts because it's very well written, and until the end you're really engaged in the story. The same with this one because this is a really well action-packed book. In fact, the first part of this book was really intense and breathtaking, so much that I read it all at once, and I was halfway through the book while I was reading the first part because it was really intense and really interesting. The second part is a bit repetitive in my opinion for some concepts, but at the same time it's so engaging that you want to go on with the story and you want to know how Paul Tremblay will lead you to the end of this book. The characters are very well written and described. What I liked the most about this book was how Paul Tremblay described an homosexual relationship, and also the topic of homophobia is very well described, and I could relate to this character, especially with Andrew, that is the character that was subjected to homophobia. That's really well written, in my opinion. You can feel their fear, but at the same time, what I was talking about before, the fact that I don't think this book is a horror but a thriller, is because it's not really scary in the horror way, if you know what I mean. This is more like home invasion kind of story, and that's the kind of scary that I'm talking about. That's the kind of scary that I feel the most. That's the kind of thrill that you will have reading this book. When we are talking about the characters, we see how Eric is like the most emotional character and Andrew is the more rational. Instead, Wen, that is the daughter, is like the balance between these two characters. I loved how Paul Tremblay described the dynamics in this family. It's very realistic, and is described through the voices of the different characters of this story. So every chapter, in fact, is entitled with the name of the character whose thoughts we are following. This is how you go deeply into the mind of the characters, and it's an interesting way. I usually don't like when the story are written in the present tense, but in this case, it was so well written that I didn't really notice it for a while. Because yeah, at the beginning, of course I noticed that, but after a while, I was so engaged in the story that I totally forgot about it, and I just wanted to go on because I was so engaged in the story, so interested that I couldn't stop reading. You can put it down because it's really well written. I know why most people say that they're not satisfied by the ending of this book. They don't like it. I felt the same thing. I felt not satisfied with the ending. But apart from that, I think it's a really good book and a really fast-paced novel. When I was reading it, I had the same vibes that I had with The Strangers, the movie. So if you think about that, yeah, you can feel it like a horror, but in my opinion, it's more a thriller. I really enjoyed reading it, and I devoured this book in, I think, a couple of days. It's really well written. So this is all I can tell you about this book, and I recommend you to read also A Head Full of Ghosts because it's a really good book. I think that's better for me. This is at the second place in the ranking of Paul Tremblay books. I still have to read the rest of his books, but from the three that I've read, A Head Full of Ghosts is the best in my opinion. I read it like a few years ago, but I still love it, I still remember it. And I think the same will be a little bit with this one. I loved it, but I wasn't satisfied with the ending. So this is all I can tell you about this book. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. I have more reviews coming, and I will see you into the next one. Bye.